Before we get to next week's lineup, let's take care of some business right now. The Motley Crue trivia winners. The boys were our guests a couple of weeks back, and they asked a pretty tough question. At least we thought it was hard. You Crue fans made it look simple. Watch for the winners' names. You'll all get cassettes in the mail. Congratulations. The runners-up will get Gary Moore Victims of the Future autographed albums. Here's the Motleys with the question and the answer.
Okay, the question was, which song was on the Leather Records Too Fast for Love album that was not on the Elektra release of Too Fast for Love? And the answer is, ding, 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 stick to your guns.
You know, the KISS numbers game boggles the mind. Over 50 million in worldwide sales. 50 million. In the States alone, KISS went gold with 16 albums, and that leaves 2 of them hitting platinum. The Lick It Up album was notable in that it spelled the end of the makeup routine and focused on the music instead. The latest album, Animalized, their 19th, just keeps the ball rolling. And KISS is known throughout the world for their huge stage shows. And now the band says they have to work even harder to prove that it wasn't just the makeup. Also, keep a pen handy, okay, and a paper, because there's a tough little trivia question to follow. But first, here's Paul Stanley.
Canada's been very good to you.
It always has. It's always been wonderful. You know, I'm always amazed to find out that there are people with bad taste in Canada who insist on buying our records year in and year out. And that's why we keep putting them out, because we're counting on you.
You remember that first tour? It must have been a doozy.
Oh, it was incredible. There's more that we can't talk about than we can, but it certainly was an education, and Canada was an intrinsic part of that education.
Was it cold?
Only until it heated up.
Yeah.
And then when it heated up, it got very hot.
Were you surprised? I mean, you didn't know anything about us when you came up here, did you?
Well, not anything really.
Hockey?
You know, basically that there was hockey and that there was snow. And then we came up here and saw what you do when you're not playing hockey or running in the snow.
How good was the band then? As a rock and roll band, how good?
How good were we? We cared a lot. You know, I think we certainly felt what we were doing, and that's a good place to start. You know, I mean, we were basically a bunch of guys out of the street with a bunch of guitars who were singing about New York City and about things that were just important to us. So how good were we? I doubt that we would win any awards for our musical proficiency, but we certainly had a tremendous amount of dedication.
As a band, when did you finally put it all together?
A week ago Thursday, I think.
Good, this is good. All of the flash and all the stuff, and you're talking about the platforms and things, is a very good rock and roll band, which is most important.
I think so. You know, I really don't believe that visuals can sell records. You know, I mean, you can put a teapot on your head, and it may be interesting to look at, but it's not going to sell a record. At least it's not going to sell 19 of them, and it's not going to sell 40 million records. So I think we're a pretty darn good band. How do you like that? Darn.
Were you a good bar band at one time? Did you do a bar circuit?
I played once or twice in bars, and I wasn't really appreciated because I really didn't know the top 40. And the songs that I was playing were, when they would say to me, play Far, Far Away, I would start playing Far, Far Away, and they say, no, just get out of here.
Cleveland, yeah. Every musician has a turning point where they either see somebody on stage or they hear somebody play.
Right.
What was that moment for you?
Well, there were 2 or 3, but really the ultimate concert I ever saw was Led Zeppelin. And I saw them between their first and second album, and that absolutely said to me, this is the pinnacle of what rock and roll and heavy metal is supposed to be. And that really basically summed it all up for me.
You played devil's advocate when one would presume there was a small group discussion between the group about the dropping of the makeup and getting on with it. And I don't want to dwell on this, but who played devil's advocate? Who sort of sat there and said, yeah, but what if?
Well, basically, we threw the idea around, and you're always aware that something may not succeed.
Sure.
But what's most important is that you follow your gut feeling. And whether it works or not isn't really the most important thing. The most important thing is that you remain true to what you believe in. And if there's anything that's been consistent with KISS, is that we do what we want, and if it doesn't turn out, at least we've done what we want. It's real important that you be sincere in what you're doing. And if we were just going through the motions of wearing makeup because it was safe, then I'd rather stay home. I'm not into that kind of, you know.
Where was the first concert?
Well, we wanted to do it someplace that was a huge metropolis, so we did it in, it's like Paraguay or some oddball place. I can't even remember now.
Out of the way.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly...
It wasn't Bayonne. Or...
No, it wasn't exactly Toronto.
Okay, fine. And were you prepared for rejection at that point? Had you sort of mentally...
I spent my life getting ready for rejection. You know, again, we were just so excited to go out there and do it that we weren't really concerned with it, you know.
It was a shift in overdrive is what it was. Nice little...
You know, we felt by taking off the makeup, we had done what we wanted to do, which was give ourselves a little boot in the pants to do something different and get excited about what we do. I mean, when you've been doing something for 10 years, you don't want to be held back or stifled by what you've done before. If you had your hair parted on the left side 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that 10 years later you got to keep doing it because you did it before. You need that kind of freedom. Whether it succeeds or not, you can't, nobody always wins.
Let's just talk about videos for a second. It's a quantum leap, but it's really important. Martin Cahan has helped you along the way. He did a lot of Loverboy stuff, which we're very familiar with.
Right.
What's your attitude when you get into a studio, when you start planning for a video? Do you wing it, or do you actually get down to a...
Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to remake Raiders of the Lost Ark, you get, you know, all of a sudden there's 15 girls 6 feet tall with tin cans on their chests, you know, or you know, you're cutting your way through the jungle in search of the Holy Grail or something. I don't really think that that's what rock and roll is all about. You know, you can make that video once, but the trouble with those kind of videos is that any band could be in the video. You could switch basically you could switch the band and you would have the same video. Yeah. So there's really no identity. So what we try to do at this point is we try to go out there and be the fun-loving fools that we happen to be, and we either make it or break it being ourselves.
The lovable mop tops.
Whatever. Favorite trivia question.
Something that won't quite blow them out of the water.
Okay. How many children does Gene Simmons have? Let me see.
What is the national animal of Canada?
Right now, everybody's sitting home and going, Martha, who is that on TV? Let me see, what would be a good trivia question? What song did not appear on the original version of the first Kiss album, but was later added on subsequent printings?
Keep a pen handy, because he'll repeat the trivia question.
I want to say something to you people, and this comes from my heart, okay? We're here to party with you. Now, I'm here, and if you're not here, the party goes on, but it means that there's less people. I'm doing my best to run this the way you would like it run. Absolutely bizarre, hysterical, with a questionable amount of bad taste thrown in just for good merit. Where are you tonight? It Up was a song that I wrote trying to teach good oral hygiene and eating habits and promote flossing, you know, flossing and making the most of your mouth. Yes. Mastication. Yes. Heavens on Fire basically was just an attempt by me to let everybody know that youth of America, like everybody with a beating heart, gets hot. And that's basically all that song's about. You know, everybody likes to get aroused and have a good time.
You're in great shape.
Well, I try to stay in great shape.
Did you work at it?
Any way I can.
I know, but anything you can tell us about?
On TV, yeah. Love life. I don't know. You know, you just, you know when you look good. Nobody wants to look in the mirror in the morning and go, ugh, you know. So you try to wake up in the morning and be able to look in the mirror and go, hey, who's that guy? So that's basically...
You're still having a good time. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it, yes?
This face hardly ever cries.
This is good.
I sleep with a smile.
Any other bands out there do anything for you?
Well, they remind me of us, but...
There's a lot of you out there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of nice.
It's a compliment.
Sure. Hey, you know, you got to be doing something right if everybody's basically trying to do the same thing. I think that's great. Is there any bands out there
Anybody that catches your ear?
Well, Rat's good, and Bryan Adams is good. I mean, we've known Bryan for years.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some good stuff out there, and there's a lot of stuff that's just so-so.
You like
know?
Huey? Huey Lewis and his, what he's
I
doing?
like Huey, Louie, Daffy, and
Dozy, Beaky,
Dozy,
Nick,
Beaky. I like
okay.
them all. We're very big in England, and real proud of it too, because I mean that really is the start of heavy metal music. Was England?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was based on whether it was Muddy Waters or Lightning Hopkins and this one and that one from America. It basically started over there. So when you're accepted over there, it's pretty nice.
The Russians. You've
Right.
got to go and convert these people.
Well, it's real hard to get in. You know, it's I think a couple of months ago they said something to the extent that they pointed us out and said that we were degenerates, and I mean, that may well be true, but don't hold it against us.
Sure.
Let us play for you.
Did you see the Grammys?
No, I missed them.
Okay. One of the producers, it was a tie for Producer of the Year, David Foster. One of Foster's all-time favorite records is Heaven's on Fire. He says it's a hell of a record, well produced.
Well,
do you remember the producer of that particular tune?
He's close to my heart. It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to be recognized.
It's very nice to be recognized. I really appreciate that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, it's real nice when people take the time to give you a little pat on the back. You know, certainly you get enough boots in the behind, so you might as well get a couple of pats on the back. What song did not appear on the original version of the first Kiss album, but was later added on subsequent printings?
All right, we'll have an address for you in just a couple of minutes. You can win these glasses from Paul. Also, one of 25 Animalize albums or 4 libraries, 12 in each. 4 of these, okay? Neat stuff.